Hey guys, what's going on? I wanted to come on for a minute and talk to y'all about something that I was going back through some videos, and there was a case that I haven't forgot about it, but I did come across a couple videos from back in April, into March, well, middle of March, I guess. It's 1st of April, of some searches on the beach and stuff that we did, and I wanted to bring this up because this is another one that still needs justice, in my opinion, right? And I believe the family's opinion feels the same. Allegedly, these are my thoughts, right? These are my theories, my speculations, my free speech, not to reflect the channel, guys. And y'all's comments will be y'all's and y'all's alone. But I did want to talk about trigger warning too on this, times 100 million. But it's a Caleb Harris case, the young man, 21 years old, from New Braunfels, Texas, that was attending college at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi, Texas. And he's a big fisherman, loved the water, loved to fish, loved to hunt. Grew up in an outdoors family, Christian, and had big plans for the summer, going to Alaska, going to be a guide and get to train and have a good working job there in Alaska in the summer months. And right before spring break, well, a little before spring break, it was March 4th, the morning of March 4th, around 3 a.m. was the last Snapchat photo. And I did a lot of research on this case, a lot of digging, about 7 or 8 different searches down there around the campus. I'm really familiar with Corpus. I lived there for a few years back when I was younger, and I'm real familiar with the area. And the reason I want to bring this up is because I feel like this case might have relevance to what's going on in Austin, Texas at Lady Bird Lake. I don't know why I've had this hunch. I've had it since the beginning. Since 2022, when the Lady Bird Lake first started, around that time when I got into it. Now there's about 12 people that have been found there, maybe 13 by now in Lady Bird Lake. And then 2 or 3 out of the Corpus area. And they all seem to be males. And the reason I bring it up is because I believe that, in my opinion, of course, that Reddit is used in a lot of these similar situations of cases, right? Like, a lot of people, there's different areas of Reddit you can get on, and there's these hookup sites and all these different things that go on Reddit. It's kind of like a dark web type thing, right? It came out later that, of course, Caleb was on Reddit and was supposed to have a hookup that night, I guess around that time, at Oso Bay Park. And disappeared soon after that. So what's crazy to me is that, of course, he had ordered Uber Eats, right? That was delivered at the door and left at the door. And then he was found 4 months later at the pumping station there in Corpus, about, 500,000 yards from his apartment. And there was a manhole out in the middle of the pasture that was, didn't have a cover on it, but he didn't have shoes on. Barefoot. Reminds me of Sebastian Rogers, right? They said he ran away barefooted, right? And it was, these 2 cases were going on right around the same exact time, right? Like, Sebastian Rogers was February 26th. Caleb Harris was March 4th. Right after that. And they were both no shoes. So it was kind of I remember people talking a lot about it because neither one was supposedly had shoes on. Well, we know Caleb didn't have shoes on, but I don't see him walking across a pasture, right? Thorns, stickleburs, cockaburs, all that kind of, there's no way. And we know that the snap was done on a little bridge, right, near the apartment, because he had walked the dog. They got a new dog, like a group dog, right, with the roommates. And I believe it was one of the roommates' dogs, but they were kind of going to share it and get it a life jacket and take it in the kayaks fishing and all that good stuff. And adopted it or whatever, a dog. So they were all excited about that. And of course, he had ordered his Uber Eats. He was excited about his summer job in Alaska, fixing to be spring break, get some time to go fishing. He was supposed to actually go fishing the very next day, and that's why some of the Red Bulls he had ordered and the apple pies and stuff were going to be for the fishing trip. So that's what led me to believe that, he never intended to run off, right? I mean, he had no reason to run off. He's just a college kid living the life, right? And I know some things that came out about his grades not being the best. But all college kids go through this, right? They all come a point in college where they have to wake up and be like, oh man, I need to really get my act together, right? I got to get it together. Like, it happens. And so it was nothing out of the ordinary, guys. I know that some people really kind of went to the extreme on it, but it's just a heartbreaking story because this young man had his whole life ahead of him, and it was cut short somehow. And then when he was finally found, then they could not determine the cause of unalive. Like, couldn't determine the cause of it. So there's no cause. So, and how did he end up in there? I mean, I don't believe he fell in there. And so I think the family, pretty sure the family doesn't believe it either. And I know the father has spoke out several times about not believing that. And I don't know why they've never opened it up. And maybe they have quietly and we just don't know. But I'm going to start posting some of these older searches that I did. And that's why I wanted to bring this case up and bring awareness to it again. And maybe, I'm hoping that somehow, some way they are doing something behind closed doors, because I don't feel that there was ever any answers for this family. And they are a Texas family just like me, and they do live right down the road. And they are outdoorsmen and fishers. I grew up the same way. And of course, I'm a lot older, but I grew up the same way. And I'm teaching my kids the same things, right? So I have one in college right now, so I understand. And it's just something that I've always thought needed to be investigated. I don't know exactly what all they've come. I know they cloned the phone and they did all these things, remember? Because I don't believe the phone was ever found. So they couldn't really put their hands on the phone from what I understand. The phone was never found. And there was a lot of searches. I mean, helicopters and people and a lot of manpower, right? And they combed all those areas. They were all the way down into Mexico, like on the bus and shuttles, putting flyers, and it was a huge deal. And lo and behold, he was right there by his apartment, pretty much probably the whole time. I always thought that something happened with that Reddit thing, right? That was my opinion, of course. It's just my opinion. And it's just speculation, what I think. But I felt like somehow, some way, that played a role in what happened to that young man that night. And I don't know if it was something that just went bad, or who knows, right? And they're college kids, so who knows? But if you got everything that you mean someone and it's on your phone, then you pretty much got to look at that, right? And I did a lot of research on it. I found the Reddit thing. I pulled up the contact information, like the name, the screen name they use, and did some research. But I could never put a name to it, of course. But I'm sure a lot of people investigated it. But some of those sites are too hard because they use so much fake stuff. I always felt that the IP address should have been trackable. But I know they deleted, I think that person deleted it or whatever, like maybe the day after, a couple of days after or something. So it was always I don't know if that, hindered them not being able to track it down, or maybe they did track it down. I don't know. Maybe it checked out and it wasn't nothing. I don't know. But I just feel like it needs to be opened up, right? It needs to be talked about and looked at. And, I came across some photos and in my phone from some videos and stuff that I had filmed in my old camera, and I was like, man, I remember this case, right? And nobody really talks about it anymore. And it's kind of one of those things like I've been talking about the last few days, like we need to bring awareness to all of them. So I felt like while I'm doing the research on the Lady Bird Lake, I wanted to bring this up because I have a feeling that they could be tied somehow, because this is like really close, right? The areas are really close. And it seemed like every time it slowed down in Austin, it was picking up other places within like 90 or 100 miles. So that's why I always wondered. I'm not trying to connect dots. I'm just, trying to think if this could be a person that's bouncing around. And kind of like back in the 70s and 90s, the Texas unalive fields I was talking about, how, over 35 bodies, that's a lot of people. And still a lot of them runs off. So I did want to come on and take a little time before I start my night stuff tonight to talk a little bit about Caleb Harris and bring awareness to this young man. And it is a college child that needs to be talked about. We got the Idaho 4 cases coming up soon. We got a lot of these college kids stuff is coming up, and we need to bring awareness to this. And maybe I pray that they are doing something behind closed doors to work on this, right? But I want to do my part and put it back out there, put his face back out there and bring awareness to it. It might not be anything, but at least I want to try. And until we get 100% answer of no, sorry, not going to do it, not going to happen, it's an accident, that's great, then we'll move on. But right now, it's just they've said that they're not ruling it out. So the more we can bring it up, the more we can push it again, maybe it'll get it opened up. So I believe that, to help the family, I want to push. And I feel like they need answers, and they want answers. And being a big Christian family, I'm sure they're probably hoping somebody's going to talk about it. So I wanted to bring it up, guys, and talk about it for a few minutes. I'm sorry to ramble on, but I wanted to drop this video and put his face back out there and bring some awareness, because it's the holidays, and this is going to be what, their first holiday? Yeah, first holiday without Caleb. Oh, wow, so sad. See, it's heartbreaking. Just like it'll be the first Christmas without Sebastian Rogers, and like it's the same things, right? It's going to be the first Christmas for the family of Jay Slater without Jay, right? Like all these cases that we're working on, this is going to be their first Christmases and first holidays without their children. So I believe in awareness, and I believe we need to bring it up, whether the people want to watch it or not. I still want to do it. And so I just wanted to come on and talk about that for a minute. So y'all guys have a wonderful day. Remember, trigger warning times 100 million. These are just allegedly my opinions, my thoughts, my speculations, not to reflect the channel. Y'all's comments, y'all's and y'all's alone, not to reflect the channel. We do our research together. So y'all have a good day, and we'll see y'all tonight. All right, guys? Bye.